Hey everyone, my name's Aced and welcome to Cosplay Critiques, where I critique cosplays, give quick tips, and share progress of my own work. So today is my first official critique video. So if you'd like to know more on how I crit, go check out my in-depth on critiques video that I recently posted. So, and being the first video of this series that I'm doing, I'm only going to be critiquing people that I know personally. I'm doing this so that you as the viewers can kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to get at with these videos. I'll be critiquing 4 cosplays today. So first, we have the Death Knights from Summoner's War, made by myself and Ninja Panda Cosplays. Next up, we have Ainz Ulgon from Overlord, as well as Rex, Fortnite skin from Fortnite, made by Ninja Panda Cosplays as well. And then lastly, we have Luffy, made by myself and my wife from One Piece. So with our cosplayers shown, let's get to the critique. Alright guys, so we're going to start off with the Death Knights. So this was me and Ninja Panda's first real intense cosplays. So we did this it's got a game called Summoner's War. These are Death Knights. This guy, his name is Arnold. His name was Briand. We made these in roughly, I want to say, it took us about a year to make. This was, again, our first real, dive into an intense cosplay. So this is just the image that I've used as reference. I have many others, so let's get into my cosplay. So this was my first cosplay here. This is me at SuperCon. I won an award for best prop. I'll talk about my prop a little bit in just a few minutes. But I really want to start talking about how I made this, things that I can do to improve. I've learned so much more since then. I made this costume probably, I want to say, 4 or 5 years ago. So it's been quite a while. So let's go ahead and start off by talking about how I made it. It's all made out of EVA foam, typical, cosplay material. I learned a lot through compound curves such as, these shoulder pieces right here. Learning how to do undercuts, overcuts, many things like that. Things that I know now that I didn't know then are things such as texture and rounding corners, getting cleaner seams from glue. These are all things that I'm gonna show you eventually as we go through that I would like to improve upon. So our first thing we got is this skull right here. This was cast. I made this using a mold. I made a mold of a plasticine sculpture that I made. And it is made from fiberglass resin. I didn't use any fiberglass in it. It's just the urethane resin that I used. It actually lights up. I have lights on the inside of it. You can't see it here. The batteries, I think, died. So that's another thing that I need to work on is some of that electronic parts. This also lights up, the flail. The little crystal in there is made from the plastic you see on light fixtures and stuff. So it reflects light really well. I did all the sewing here. All that is done by me. I made the sleeves I had to go find a specific texture pattern that I wanted. So, that took a little while. Again, with the skirt that I have here and the tabard that goes down, I did all that myself. This is faux suede. All of this is faux suede. So, same with the hood. The hood is faux suede with a invisible mask around it. Let me go ahead and clear these options here. There we go. So, all right, let's go ahead and go to the next one. Here's a more detailed shot. So you can see a slightly more detail on this picture. This picture was done by one of my friends, Thal Photography. So what can I do differently here? So I don't know if you can notice this, but I have that part right there. I do not like this part. I have a wire inside of my hood, and I wanted to be able to form and shape it, but I didn't leave enough wire in there. So what it did is it actually made a little lip on the bottom of my hood, and you can see it in a lot of my pictures. So next time I always think, how much do I need? And give yourself extra. I didn't give myself extra for putting it in there. So basically I just sewed a seam, a little lip, and just ran a wire through it. So again, things like seams right here, I didn't sand, none of these are sanded, none of these are beveled. I didn't use a flex shaft or a Dremel tool or anything to like curve these edges. Maybe a little bit of sandpaper, but that's about it. Another thing I would like to change here is, I've started recently getting better quality foam. I've started using TNT Cosplay. So you won't see these like, this texture from the cheaper foams that you can get from like Harbor Freight and things like that. Because, this right here kind of takes out from some of the illusion of the costume. Also reinforcing these little bits. As you can see maybe on this one here, that it's starting to kind of bend a little bit. But overall on that part, like, there's a lot more that I'd like to talk about, but I'll go into it on his cosplay as well, because we both did something similar. All my strapping, I've learned so much through the strapping. I wish I had pictures for you, but that's here or there. So here's a comparison difference between our cosplays. This is Panda, and this is me. So what he did is he took a little more literal approach to the costume. He made it more 2D, as you can tell by the it's PVC sheet. His little spikes, as where I tried to go more like 3-dimensional. I had beveled undercuts, and I had I used cuts on the insides of the foam. I'll make a video about that eventually to get this shape that I have. Things on his that I've already talked to him about this. Such as extending this armor down where mine is right here. I think that would have helped a lot. If you see on my little skull, he made his entirely out of, I cast mine, he made his out of EVA foam. I don't think he had a light in his. So, another thing with his hood, my hood here actually I had one of those stretchy hair bands that I could just put around my neck. It was very loose, but it kept the entire mask down. Whereas his mask, you can see it's starting to fall out, and it came out quite a few times. He also didn't know much about sewing at this time. He's learned a lot, as you will see in the next cosplays, about sewing. He didn't hem any of his hoods right here. Again, we were both learning. This was both of us learning how to make something. So, yeah. So let's get into his neck. That was our Death Knights. Again, our first real cosplays. I love these cosplays, and things that I would do differently is better connections. I had connections falling apart, better texture, and better sewing. I think adding texture into, maybe hammered metal textures or something to that effect all throughout would just add to the overall aesthetic of this cosplay. Okay, so here is Einzelgon. This is also Ninja Panda. This is his second cosplay. This is an amazing cosplay. I've helped him make this. Me and him have worked on it a little bit. He did most of it. I just helped with talking him through some things. I did help him with these little bits, the parts on his staff. All those orbs that you see in there, I cast those, and he used those in his piece, and they actually light up. He learned so much from sewing this. The sewing job looks amazing. He's hemmed everything. All these little bits are hemmed, so there's no fraying like in his last one. So big change. You can actually see it really well right here. This little line right there, that's the hem. He did that on everything. All of this. So great job on the sewing. you know, in his foam work, it's gotten so much better. It's not perfect yet by any means. Neither of us are perfect. There's still things that we need to work on, such as, you know, if you can see right here, having a little bit of a cleaner edge. Let me clear that real quick. So a little bit of a cleaner edge right around here. Texture. We're both working on just different textures. So throughout my schooling at ECU, I worked on texture a lot. Paint texture, visual texture, like a very tactile texture. I worked on all of that. So I'm really excited to start making new costumes with all these techniques that I've learned. So, and he's applying these as well. We're both currently working on new costumes. I'm working on Full Metal Alchemist cosplay for my wife. I'm going as Winry, and he's going as Al. So a lot of metal textures there. That'd be kind of neat. Things that can be improved. So again, with the foam work, this right here, you can't see it very well in this picture. It's very 2D. It's very flat looking in real life. You know, it looks amazing, but it can be pushed. It can be pushed further. I know, and you know, adding something as simple as, you know, maybe a bone texture, or, you know, just pushing it a little further with the paint. Paint jobs will make anything look so much better. Another amazing thing that he did here, this skull. The skull is great. He sculpted this with a base from a Halloween skull, but then he started adding paper clay all around it and sanding it and smoothing it and adding more until it represented what he wanted. The sculpting skill is amazing. But another thing that I would like to see better is the paint job on it. So, you know, it's very cartoony, which is what he was going for, but I think that could have been pushed a little further. It's very, the lines are very two-dimensional. They're the same thickness all around. Maybe, you know, work on doing a thick line here and then get a little thinner up at top. Just small things like that, you know, small little nitpicky things that can just make the piece just pop overall. So seeing this costume personally, there's a few things that really do need to be fixed. His staff, it's very wobbly in real life. There's like a connection somewhere down here that is just a piece of wire that's kind of wrapped around PVC, I think. So it's not very strong. He knows this, and he's gonna work on it on the next cosplay. You know, we talk about this throughout the entire process. Another problem is some of these lights, I think, could have been brighter. It's hard to see during the day. At night, they look great, but during the day, it's hard to tell. Like his eyes right here, I think those are great because it's hidden by the hood. You have the hood so that it gives a little shadow so that you can really tell, like even in the picture here, let me clear the format here. You can really tell that those are lit, you know? Like you can see right there, like those are glowing. You know, another thing is like his feet. The feet feel like an afterthought. They weren't really addressed. You know, during his first time wearing this, he just wore shoes, which is okay. That's fine. I finally made him I made him put on some black socks over the shoes, and that seemed to help quite a bit. But I would like to have seen maybe this, you know, the robe come down just slightly more. That would have been a little better. Oh, or just get shoes that are permanently for this piece. Overall, though, this is an amazing cosplay. Like these fingers right here, they're all his fingers are articulating. You can actually see right here. This is where his hand stops. So all of these little fingers and individual pieces move with him. He has these ones fixed so that he can just hold it, but he can always make it move again. So overall, amazing cosplay. Very tall in real life. his face, I think, is right here. So, you know, he has an understructure that's going on, which has been altered many, many times. But overall, amazing cosplay. Again, he's working on sewing, so maybe next time he'll do something like adding more embellishments, embroidery, if even. So adding some, you know, like embroidery, like I think Ainz has some along the lines here. So, but other than that, amazing cosplay. All right, let's get on to the next one. All right, so this is Rex from Fortnite. It's a Fortnite skin. He just made the helmet for this. So it looks, I've seen this one I've seen this one in real life as well. So I know a lot about this one because I've seen him making it. This was his first time working really with airbrush, so an airbrush kit. All of the paint down here, you know, and up here, the eyes, all of this, it's all made with the airbrush, which he recently got. Another cool thing about this cosplay is up in the roof of the mouth is a place to hold his phone. So at some conventions, they have like a rave. So what he did was he got his phone, downloaded an app that had flashing different lights, put it up inside of his helmet, and he had different lights flashing on his face. It was so cool. Things that can be improved. You can see right here that you see the brush strokes. He didn't airbrush everything. And brush strokes are okay. You know, or like they're like little texture lines. I think, you know, again, adding some type of visual texture would have been good on this cosplay, because this is, again, it's like a lizard. You know, you want to see some like scaled skins or a bumpy texture or something. I actually, you know, I don't know if I developed this, but I found a way to make paint bubble up without ruining the composition of the paint. I'll do a video on that pretty soon, actually. So, you know, so again, more texture is always good. Again, this was his first time painting, so I think he went a little overboard with the dark areas right around the teeth. I think those could have been toned down slightly. But like overall, it's great. Actually, he had a little mishap with some plasti dip, which added a small kind of like crinkly texture on every tooth, which actually added to the visual effects of it. So that accident actually turned out to his advantage. I think the foam just didn't agree with the plasti dip for some reason. Maybe he sprayed when it was too cold or something. It also happened with the eye, which again, he fixed and cleaned up and made it look great. So another a slight problem I have here is these spikes, the seam on them, you can kind of see it right here. The glue seam is starting to kind of split open slightly, but it hasn't opened up since then. You know, maybe adding some more Flex Seal would have helped that a bit. And the last thing I think he could have added is the neck. I'm not a big fan of like necks showing on helmeted cosplays. So maybe getting a green scaled textured cloth could have been, sorry, I didn't even touch the mic there, could have been beneficial. So, you know, maybe just sewing along like a long neck piece that kind of just, you know, maybe magnets in or snap fastens right to the insides that covers his neck. That would have been really cool to see a nice textured fabric. But overall, this is his fun casual cosplay. So, you know, he's wearing some military gear that he's had. He does airsoft. So this is all airsoft gear. So, you know, overall though, amazing helmet, fun to wear. I put it on myself. It's hard to hear, but It's really fun to wear. So on to our last one is my wife. She's going as Luffy from One Piece. So I helped her make the piece of meat right here that she's holding. It's made out of 2 flower pots, paper clay, paint, PVC. I just made it real quick so that she had a prop that she can play with. She'll pretend to eat it or something for pictures. So this is a great example of a thrifty cosplay. So most of the stuff she got here was from a thrift shop. So this like shirt right here, it was from a thrift shop. She altered it, took out some of the buckles and stuff on it. It's also like this scarf is from the thrift shop as well. So are these pants. So like this is a great example of just going out, finding something that looks good enough for you and for what you're trying to achieve, and really just apply that, So she did a really good job. Some problems that I think need to be addressed is the fluff. The fluff kind of peels every now and then because all it is just it's using an iron-on, some like sticky iron-on boarding to just adhere on there. I think sewing it on would have been better. Let's see here. And her scar wax. The scar wax right here, this was I think her first rendition of it. She's improved it since then. So, I think this was made with just Vaseline, toilet paper, and acrylics. So it looks good right now. Like it looks very good, but she's made it so much better. But I'm just critiquing this photo for now. It looks. She's gone out since then. She's added bruising to it. She's learned different techniques through going to school. She went to ECU as well for theater, stage management. So she's learned a lot with painting and just overall makeup. So the question everybody always asks her is, how does this stay up? And it's called toupee tape. It's meant for, people who have sweaty heads putting a toupee on. It's meant to stick. It's not meant to move. So she's using a piece here, and it stays. Even if you tug at it, it doesn't want to move. So, if you ever have to do a costume like this, toupee tape will help tremendously. And as for the photo, I took the photo, just as a quick photo with my phone. She wanted let me clear the thing here. She just wanted a quick photo for Facebook and stuff, and Instagram, so I took a photo of her. Alright guys, that was our 4 cosplayers. So thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, go ahead and subscribe, hit that bell icon to see my weekly videos. And if you would like to submit your cosplay for critique, comment or check the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see y'all on the next one.